All right. Ashley, need you. You're just gonna be an in post, but we're gonna stand. Okay, so check this out. Um, here's what we're gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna send a pulse down. Ashley's just gonna hold it. She's gonna be in post. Watch what happens when the wave pulse hits Ashley. What happens? It bounces back. Okay. Yes. Okay. Reflects. I want you to see. I'm going to make the wave pulse go this way initially. Okay. Watch what happens when it hits her. What happens? It flips. Goes the other way. Okay. So if I sent two wave pulses, at some point they're going to interfere with each other. You okay with that? If I sent multiple wave pulses, then they're going to be interfering with each other a lot. That makes sense? Now, if I can shake this in such a way, what happens is I get, this is a standing wave. Okay? Some parts of this are always experiencing destructive interference. Okay? What parts are always, where is it experiencing destructive interference? In the middle where it's not moving. Those are nodes. Okay? Where, and then some points are always experiencing constructive interference. Where are those points? The womp, 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 womp. Okay? Those are experiencing constructive interference. We call those antinodes. Okay? Notice how much I'm shaking the amplitude at which I'm shaking the slinky compared to the amplitude of the antinodes. Does everybody see it? The antinodes are like way bigger? How is that possible? It's because of constructive interference. In a way, I'm making this slinky resonate. It's like I'm pumping a swing. You good with that? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so here is a video of doing the same thing we just did, kind of more in slow motion. So here's our slinky. Here's undisturbed medium. We're sending a wave pulse through. This is a traveling wave. Okay. Ashley's over here. When it hits the in post, the wave hits the in post, it reflects back and it flips. And some parts are always experiencing destructive interference. Okay, so those are the nodes. Okay, and these are your antinodes. Good with that? Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to buddy up groups of 2 or 3. We're going to grab a spring. We're going to go out in the hallway. I could have one group in here, maybe 2 groups, like one group back there. You're going to spread out, give a little bit of tension, not a crazy amount, but some amount of tension. You're going to hold on to the springs, and one person on one and another person on the other. One person's going to be the wave maker, wave giver. The other person is going to be an in post. Okay. All right, Gabe. And you're going to be making standing waves. You're going to do the first harmonic. It's going to feel like a jump rope. How do you know when you've established it? You'll know. Like you'll feel it. It was like pumping a swing. Like, oh, there it is. Got you. If you're fighting it, you haven't got there. If it's like, oh, boom, there it is. Okay, so it's going to look like a jump rope. You're going to do it on the floor. You're not going to do it in the air like Ashley and I up here did it. It's going to be on the ground. Okay, you're shaking it across the ground. Okay. Once you've established the first, then go to the second harmonic, third, fourth. If you have time, you can flip flop rolls. Okay. Recognize that other people in classes try to be minimally distracting, yes, and respectful. Okay. Go. Make it quick. Welcome. Groups of 2 or 3. Go, go, go.
I took 10-3 and 10-4, but it's saying I didn't take it. I took 10-3 and 10-4. I remember my answers, but it says on Power School that I have nothing, which I know I took it, but it just says I didn't.
Okay, well, I can check them.
Well, my confusion is that it's acting like I never took this.
Oh.
Like I did take this. I'm so confused. Yeah, it was M Force and the second one was 10-4, right? I took both of those.
Huh. I can look to see what it says on my end.
Do I just take it?
No. Okay, I can look at it. So on the ground, because that's second. Going for a jump rope. And don't let go.
Yeah, Sebastian, don't let go.
So, Ava, I'm gonna have you move back a little. Yeah, it's like move back a little bit, get some more attention. So, Aiden, scoot back a little bit, get some more attention.
That's what I was doing.
Drew, go back a little bit. There you go. That's good. That's good. So it's gonna look like that, like one bulge.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
That makes sense. So once you get the first harmonic, go to the second, and then go to the third, and then.
Does first mean one note or what?
Yep, first means one node.
Keep it still.
Huh? Yeah, just come just hold it.
You get the first harmonic. I get the second harmonic.
Okay, switch roles. Good. So one, yeah, second harmonic. Okay, go to the second. That was good first.
Oh, that's 5.
Okay, come together. Do not let go. Come together.
I want to let go so bad.
Don't let go.
Do not let go. Bring the springs back to class.
I'm pretty sure I did this already.
You spell out.
Dude, that's literally Dragon Ball. Y'all don't get this.
And then she answered it.
No, I was right. I need some better. No, yeah.
I just have to mentally get ready for that. I feel like I'm just going back and rereading.
All right. Question. Did the standing wave occur at any and every frequency that you shook the spring at? Or did it only happen, did you have to work at it until you're like, oh, there it is? Did it occur every time? Yeah, once you got it, but like you had to work, like there was some points at which you're like, oh, there it is, I got it. Like, so it only occurred at certain frequencies. Just like pumping a swing only occurs at the frequency that matches the natural frequency. Okay, so we're causing resonance to happen. Okay, in order to go to a higher frequency from the first harmonic to the second harmonic, what did you have to do? Okay, how could we describe that? Getting colder. I like faster is better than more force. Okay, we increased the frequency. We made it more frequent. Okay, so we went from like first harmonic, and then this is the second harmonic, third harmonic, right? It's more frequent. Okay, so turns out that the equation for, okay, so your fundamental frequency, first harmonic, okay, is equal to n, which is the number of harmonics is equal to the nth harmonic. Okay, so the first harmonic, the fundamental frequency times, so like your second, your second harmonic would be 2 times the first harmonic. The third harmonic would be 3 times the first harmonic. The fourth harmonic, 4 times. Good with that? Folks looking at cell phones. Okay, so the equation for standing wave on a string. This is, this right. So this is so this is the speed speed of the wave on a string, in this case a spring, and this is the length of the string, and n is the number of harmonics. Good with that? Examples of where we see this in life are stringed instruments. Good with that? So all stringed instruments are governed by this equation. So guitars, violins, pianos, harps, okay, are all governed by that equation. So an equation that I'm not going to necessarily make you calculate, but is an equation. So how could I change the speed of the wave on a string? Can I play it harder? How do I change the actual speed of the wave? Okay, I could change the tension. How can I change the tension on a guitar? The tuning pegs. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. So I'm changing the medium when I tighten in it. Does that make sense? Okay. What else could I do to, okay, this is um, the density of the string. Okay. Notice you have different types of strings on stringed instruments. You have a less dense, more dense. Okay. If you've ever looked inside of a piano, there's some strings that like have the wire wrapped around a wire, like it's like coiled around it. Okay, that's to make it more dense, but yet flexible. Good with that? So you have different mediums. Okay, the only way to change the speed of a wave is to change the medium. Yes. Okay. So what is when we play a stringed instrument? What is typically the way we change a note? We put our fingers on it. What does this do? Okay, it changes the length. Okay, as I push down here, okay, so here I'm playing the fundamental frequency. This string looks like a jump rope. 2 end posts. Okay. So as I push down here, this whatever fret that I'm pushing it against becomes the new end post. Okay. So as I make the length shorter, what's going to happen to my frequency? It's going to go up. And we hear higher note. Good with that? Now, typically we play it at the fundamental frequency, n is equal to 1. However, it is possible to play different harmonics, even though it doesn't happen all that often. On a guitar, you have these dots on the fretboard. Often, you'll get a double dot here or some ornate design at this location. This is the halfway point, half the length of this string. Okay, if I touch this here, not press it down all the way, but just touch it, I can force a node to occur at this midpoint. That's the first harmonic, second harmonic. So it's going womp, 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 in the middle, nothing. Okay, I made it make a node happen. So history, it's not history, music people, if I double the frequency, it goes up an octave. Good with that? Okay. The rest of these dots correspond to different fractions of the length of the string. Okay. I'm going to guess that's about a third. Third harmonic. Fourth harmonic. Okay, that's 2 octaves above this. As you go higher and higher, it gets harder and harder. Okay, but you can tune your guitar using this trick of harmonics relative to each other. I think it's like the 3rd and the 5th or something like that, harmonic. Good with that? Okay. So, stringed instruments. Oop. Example problem here. All right, so what is the speed of a wave? 1.6 meters long bass guitar plays a note with a frequency of 75 hertz at the fundamental frequency. Okay, here's your vocab. Fundamental frequency means what in terms of this equation? This is n is equal to 1. Fundamental frequency. Okay, so you have 75 hertz is equal to n is equal to 1, speed over 2 times 1.6 meters. So that's going to be equal to v over 3.2, 75, 240 meters per second. Good with that? Questions there? That is pretty much the extent of the math for this part. Not too bad. Okay. So, we went through that. All right. Another category of instruments is an open-ended tube. It actually has the same equation as a string. However, this is going to be the length of the tube. This is the speed of sound in air, which is equal to what? 343 meters per second. Okay, so if you have a tube, this is the wave that's going through that is the speed of sound in air. Okay, it's a sound wave. Examples of this, of an open-ended tube, are flutes, fifes, organs, pipe organs. We're going to say single reed instruments. Good with that?
Is that why your voice gets like higher?
No. That is because of this. You're changing the medium.
So is it faster or slower?
Speed comes more, less dense. I mean, based on this equation, it would have to be going faster, less dense. What? Yeah.
Almost 1,000
So, okay. Open it into both ends open, okay? It's like blowing across Coke bottle. Okay? If I swing it faster. Okay? What did I change? Did I change the speed? Yes. Of the wave?
No.
No. What did I change? I did change the frequency. What caused the frequency to change? What did I change in the equation on the right side? What?
The length too.
Nope. Length didn't change.
My dad hates those things.
Sure he does. What?
Period. Amplitude.
Nope.
What else is in the equation? And number.
Number of harmonics. I went from something. I don't know. That's low. Okay. Low quality. All right. So I changed the harmonics. When I go from here to here, what would you expect to hear by this one?
Lower.
Okay. All right. Good with that? Okay. Also, you get.
I killed a hamster. So I just spun him around.
You have one of those, don't you?
And I showed my. I know.
Just for this day.
Can we pass it around?
No.
Flash.
I mean, no, it's my wife's. I don't.
I can actually play.
Okay.
I'm sure you're.
So, flute is a open-ended tube. We got one end here, one end here. Okay. So we're not playing it like this, blowing into it. We're blowing across it over the top like a Coke bottle. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe do that. Maybe you should. Yeah. You should play the same play.
Yeah, let's sing.
No, but
Come on, Sandy, you got this.
It just needs a little tuning. Looks alright. Looks open in there. There you go. We got it in there. All right. Okay. So as you play over the top of this, it makes a beautiful noise. Okay. So if I, as I let go of the buttons, what am I changing? Yes, the note, but why, physics-wise? I'm changing the length. Does that make sense? It's like, that make sense? Okay. Now I can also change the harmonic by blowing faster over the top of it, which changes the. Okay. Does it change this? No. Still 343. I'm changing the harmonics. Good with that? Okay. Now, here's a quick disclaimer. We figured out instruments way before we understood why instruments played. Like we just like, oh, that sounds cool. Let's do that. Hey, that sounds cool. What happens if I do that? Oh, that's cool. And over the centuries, we developed instruments. It wasn't until later people were like, I wonder why that works. And people have written their like PhD dissertations over the complexity of how instruments work. Okay, this is kind of the foundation.
We used to have magically discovered how to make an instrument, not to uncover it.
Not magic. It's just like, oh, cool.
It's been around for like a gazillion years.
Accidentally. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So in a in a tube, it's a sound wave. Sound waves are longitudinal. Okay? And so the standing wave, a longitudinal standing wave, looks like this. Okay? Where some parts aren't moving, but they experience a high and low pressure. Other parts are moving a lot, but the pressure stays constant. That make sense?
Yeah.
Curtis.
If you did that with like, in like a closed container with like pieces of metal, would that create like a vacuum as it separates?
Yeah, a lower pressure. Mm-hmm. Okay, you good with that? Okay, so this would be like the sixth harmonic. Okay.
Is that how a harmonica works?
No.
Not a harmonica. What's the thing that you push together?
Accordion?
Accordion.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's
Like a
just,
wave?
that is, you're just being a pump. This is just like a bagpipe, like,
But it makes noise when it opens too.
yeah, because it's like sucking and blowing. Have you ever had like those pumps that like, that you can inflate a air mattress by pushing or pulling? It's a one-way valve. All right, so did that. All right, so closed into this, the other category. This has a, oh dear. Let's see how the audio worked on that one. Goodness. This has a similar equation. Except it's 4L. This is still 343 meters per second, but it's 4 times the length instead of 2 times the length. Okay, closed in tube. Okay, examples of this are brass instruments, and there's debates on whether a double reed is like a closed end or open end tube or a closed end tube. We're just going to throw it in the closed end tubes. You will not need to memorize what, like, if I give you a trumpet, you're like, oh, is that closed end? You don't need to know that. I'll tell you that. Okay. I'm just trying to make connections with stuff you've experienced. Okay. So here, I got this one.
I got this one.
Sort of. Okay. So the source of sound is anything vibrating. So vibrating my lips, doing it in a mouthpiece. Okay. Now notice I can vibrate my lips at any frequency. Okay. But if I did this in a tube, this is considered closed in. This side is closed. This side is open. Okay, closed in tube. Notice I'm going to do the same thing, but in here. Okay. Okay. There's only certain notes that come out. Only certain frequencies develop a standing wave. Okay. As I was doing that, changing the harmonic. Okay. Can I change the speed? No, this is always 343 for a pipe. Okay. The other thing I can do to change the note is what? The length. If I lengthen this, what would you expect to hear? Get to that? Okay. I got nothing on that. So when on regular brass instruments you have keys or valves, okay, and you press that, that opens different routes for the air to go through, lengthening or shortening the tube length. That makes sense? Okay. Now here I have a boom whacker. Okay. What would you expect to happen if I close the end? Oops. If I'm going from an open end to a closed end. Okay. I went from 2 to 4 on the denominator. Good with that? Last question. So I've got an open end. No. I've got a closed open end and closed end instrument, both playing the same harmonics, has the same note. First harmonic. Which one has a longer tube? Okay. Closed end, tube shorter, open end longer. Good? Okay, I got a worksheet due tomorrow.